Hello again. Brief introduction first of all, because this particular video it's aimed at a broader spectrum than the norm. My name's Dion and I own the Astronomy Shed website, which is an amateur astronomy website and has about 11,000 members. I also own the related YouTube channel, which has over 6,000 subscribers and has had in excess of 1.3 million video hits. Basically I cover tutorials on telescopes and mount setups, cameras, imaging of taking astro photographs, etc. It's quite a technical subject, to be honest, and basically this introduction is just to show that as far as technology is concerned, I usually, I know where I am. You're not dealing with an idiot, in other words. Now this particular video is about quadcopters, believe it or not. The thing is, it's something that's becoming quite a bit of interest to a number of people in all sorts of areas. You've seen them on the TV, you've seen them on the news, and one of the biggest companies at the moment out there is DJI, and that's the company I went for. I bought a DJI quadcopter. Unfortunately, the service or reputation of any company is only really as good as the backup that it supplies and the customer service when things go wrong. And that's why I'm making this video, because in my case things have gone wrong, and they've gone wrong in a big way. And to be honest, it's not the first time with DJI. I think that they're a company that have grown too quickly, too big, and now they cannot cope, and there are things that they're treating people wrongly, and there are just things that have gone on, sort of are ongoing, that have previously gone on, that should have been handled a lot better. So I'm going to cover a little bit of the history as well before I actually go into my case. I might bore you to death a little bit, I don't know, but persevere with it, because mine is definitely worth watching. Okay, so first of all, you decide you want to buy one of these drones, a quadcopter, and you watch the YouTube videos and it looks great and they're flying around and they're taking the photographs, and you think, oh, this is for me. So you buy it, you get your nice shiny box and you unpack it, and you take the usual precautions. Then you watch more videos, more tutorials, you join the Facebook groups, you start to interact with people who've also got them, and that's more when you start to hear some of the bad news stories as opposed to the good news stories. It's just always the case. You don't hear the bad news stories until after you've bought one. And historically, the first problem that DJI started having with the Phantom series quadcopters was stress cracks, which basically meant that the cases of the actual enclosures, the frame, started to crack where the motors were mounted on into the frame. And first of all, DJI sort of wouldn't acknowledge it. Other people, just general people, you always get the well, I've got one and it hasn't happened to me, so you must be telling lies, because that's the way the internet works. Unfortunately, people weren't telling lies. Once DJI did start to acknowledge that there was a problem, they were very, very slow to roll out any sort of solution to it. People that were sending the quadcopters back to DJI were waiting sometimes in excess of 8 weeks to get the kit back. Bear in mind, this is a piece of kit that will cost you over £1,000. This is not a toy. It's not a £2.50 glider that you buy from a toy shop. It's £1,000 worth of equipment. You'd expect more if you'd bought a washing machine that's a third of the price, quarter of the price, even a fifth of the price. But no, 2 months to fix this problem. The thing is, it frightened people, this thing, and people didn't want to send them back to get repaired because they didn't want to be without the £1,000 toy that they've spent all that money on and look forward to getting. So then eBay started to get full of solutions for these stress cracks, and now if you have a look on eBay, you will find literally dozens and dozens and dozens of references to stress cracks and the solutions to it. And I'm just going to do a couple of screenshots now just to show you what about the stress cracks, and we'll leave that subject then and move on to the next one. Okay, on to the next problem that people started to have, and that is flyaways. Now, when you first started watching the videos before you bought one, the videos where it's GPS enabled, you can hover it at 6 foot above the floor, you can walk over and you can push it and it'll fight back and try and get back into its position. If the battery starts to go flat, it'll come back and land where it took off from. If your transmitter breaks or you switch it off, it'll fly back and come back to where it took off from. It's an high-tech boomerang. You can't lose it, this thing, according to the hype. You know, it's just the way it is. No, because the next thing, there started to be an history of these things flying off on their own. They were just, it's called the DJI Phantom Flyaway, and they've been known to just fly off and do their own thing and never be seen again. And again, people have fought with DJI with regards to warranty claims on flyaways. There's also been a fair number of them that have just basically fell out of the sky. And again, I'll show you screenshots to back up what it is that I'm telling you and just how many instances there are. And again, like I said, DJI, slow to accept responsibility, doesn't get recognised. People then are fighting with warranty and everything. It's now got to the stage with DJI and their warranties are so bad that there are many people that are looking to find independent insurance that will cover them against flyaways, against crashes that aren't their fault, against it going out of control. You know, the lot. And this shouldn't have to be. This shouldn't have to be. A £1,000 piece of equipment, this, and the DJI are not covering the warranties on it. Like I said, my particular problem hasn't come up yet, and I'm going to bring that one up shortly. But like I said, these sort of problems shouldn't be happening with a piece of equipment this expensive. A very quick one about firmware upgrades before I move on to my own particular issue. DJI released firmware upgrades for the quadcopter and the controller at a very high frequency. And the thing is that I'm a member of several of the Facebook groups and I read several of the forums, and the same thing comes up every single time. Due to these issues with DJI, confidence isn't at its best, and there's several posts with has anybody upgraded with new firmware? Is it safe? Shall I do it yet, or shall I wait a while? And other people that are saying, I'm waiting a while, mate, I'm going to see if anybody else's crashes with this new firmware or anything before I put mine on. So again, you know, user confidence isn't particularly good. And now we'll go on to my particular issue. Okay, onto my particular problem. I was going flying me Phantom in an area that's about 15 minutes drive away from me. It was a place I've been to before several times, know the area, lived here all my life. 52 years I've lived in the area that I live in, and this is a landmark that's literally 15 minutes away from me, so I'm familiar with the area. I've been there before, flown there before. I wasn't new to the Phantom. In fact, I've got an history with radio controlled helicopters and aeroplanes anyway. So there I was. I went up to this local monument. Now the Phantoms do a little sort of feature called POI, or point of interest, and basically what you do is you hover above a building or whatever, a car, it doesn't matter, just a point of interest, can be anything, and then you move it out a set distance away, and then you tell it to POI and it will orbit. It goes into what they call orbit mode. It will circle that particular feature with the camera pointing at it, so you get a video of a rotary motion. Now what I am going to do is I'll show you a very quick piece of video of me doing that on exactly the same monument that I was at when the thing happened. And the thing that happened is that I'd set it up into POI mode. It was there above the monument. I started it up doing the orbit, and I went to my screen to turn on the video to start filming it. I've got the orbit, it was doing, you know, how I wanted it to go. As soon as I clicked on the video section to turn on the camera on my drone, the drone literally tipped itself at 45 degrees and flew diagonally straight into the ground and smashed itself to pieces. It flew into the ground at put it this way, the application that runs on a tablet alongside the drone says that it flew into the ground at over 95 miles an hour. Now I would like to point something out here, that is nowhere near the maximum speed that these things are supposed to fly at. So there's an error there. It also, at point of impact with the ground, still decided it was over 60 feet in the air. Now another thing I would like to point out, and anybody that's done what they call geocaching, or that is basically familiar with GPS and how it all works, is that if you use a GPS system and you overlay it onto, say, Google, it's never accurate. And like the geocaching people, if you're into that sort of thing, they're always complaining people are using coordinates off Google instead of using real coordinates from a GPS device, because they just don't match up. And what I'll do is I'll show you a couple of pictures as I work through this, and eventually show you the video of what happened to my particular drone, and then we'll go on to the treatment that I've had from DJI, which is absolutely appalling. Okay, it'll all become clear why I'm showing you this in a very short time. This is basically a Google of my house, my street where I live. The red blotches are simply, I've crossed out what my street name is and so forth, so that I don't get any stalkers. But basically this is my house, this house here, this is my garage, and this green spot is actually where I'm standing at the point that this photograph was screen grabbed. And I enabled the GPS, allowed it to find my coordinates, and then, you know, just hit the button, where am I, and this is where it says I am, which is actually next door but one, because this is a semi-detached house. So I'm standing here and GPS says that I'm actually there when I'm not. So to be fair, give it another test. I went out into my back garden, and again I gave it a couple of minutes for the GPS to steady itself and decide where it was. And this is me standing in my back garden, and this is where GPS says I am, which is in the house back to back with me in the middle of their garden. And I don't know, I'd probably get arrested for being a peeping Tom or something, but anyway, it just basically illustrates the accuracy of GPS when overlaid with Google, and that is important in my case, and you'll find out why very shortly. I would actually like to apologise at this point that this seems to go on, but I am sort of clarifying some stuff here that people who don't know about drones and how they work and the control system and everything, and you know, the feature set and everything, and so that you know, there's some people without the knowledge that some of us have got that still need to appreciate what it is I'm talking about. So I do apologise if I seem to be going on quite a bit. Now also, one of the features of the Phantom is that it records your flight path. If you go for a flight, it sort of records your flight path as a grey line, and using GPS it overlays it onto a Google Maps. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to show you a couple of screenshots and explain what they are, and then I'm going to go into the video of exactly what happened and give you an explanation of exactly how DJI treated it. And I know I'm laughing, but I am absolutely fuming about this. Right, so when you fire your tablet up and you've done your flights and everything, and your flight history is recorded on your tablet, and as you can see, it gives the date, which is important. The date's there. It gives the date, it gives the area, how far you flew, how long your flight was for, what your altitude was, and everything. And then each one of these you can actually click on, and it will show a video of your flight actually taking place. And then you can click another button and it will show what controls you pressed on the remote control as you were flying. It shows the stick movements and everything. So this flight data is it's a log of everything that went on, and when you have an incident, DJI ask you to send this to you via their cloud, so they have all this information then that they can analyse. Now that's important, they have all this information. So on to the next photograph. Okay, so once you've selected one of those points in the previous still on your tablet, it will then allow you to replay the instances in that particular, on that date and that flight. And this is one such flight. Now I think that you could safely assume here that the point of interest is going to be sort of in this area, because the activity is in an area surrounding, you know, it's the central point of the activity is just here, and the photographs also suggest that. Now this is actually from the date that the incident happened, and like I said, I don't think it's unreasonable for anybody to look at that and assume that the point of interest is sort of centered around this area, due simply because to the flight path and the way the photographs are taken and everything. So let's actually have a look at the video now. Okay, here we've got the video representation of the image that I just showed to you. I've got it paused at the moment. I will set it off moving in a moment, and this will show you what happened. As I said before, it's to me anyway, it's patently obvious, and it should be to anybody that's got a modicum of common sense, that the actual point of interest is here. Like I explained before, with GPS and Google overlay, the point of interest is being shown here. This is the actual tower. But like I said, it's patently obvious that really it's here. This shows stick movement, so you can see the right hand stick is pushed up at the moment, and then we've got sort of height, vertical and horizontal speeds. This is the battery level. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start this into play mode and talk you through it as it happens. In fact, I'll just speed it up a little bit, just fast forward it a touch. There's a little bit of flying about going on there. Okay. Now I am going to pause it at a couple of points and just like point out a couple of things as it works through. You can see here that I'm in actual fact I'm hovering above the point of interest, getting ready to start an orbit mode, and in a moment you'll see me then start backing off and coming away from my actual orbit position, or setting up for my orbit. Because what you do is you hover above an item, you move out a set distance, that you know how far away from it you want to be before you start your orbit. So at that point there, I'm hovering above my point of interest, and then you'll see me sort of back away from it to get my distance from it, just there. And then next you'll see it start orbiting. There we go, it started the POI, which means it started the orbit and it's working its orbit round. Now, it's just coincidence that it happens to sort of do its thing at this point. Now, I'm going to pause it. There we go, I just missed that then. It's now showing horizontal speed of 70.9, but I don't know if you saw that. It actually goes over 95 miles an hour at one point. There you go. And then it hits. Now it's hit the ground here, but apparently when it's hit the ground, it's still doing 55 miles an hour and it's still at 66.9 feet above the ground. You tell me. I have no idea. But there we go. That's where it actually hit. So next, let's go on to DJI and what they had to say. Now bear in mind that does give the impression that it hits this tower, although to be fair, the tower's here. That's the shadow of the tower that you can see here. It's patently obvious that really the point of interest is there. But this was DJI's, I think this was their third try at being evasive. Next I'm just going to tell you exactly what happened with DJI, and believe it or not, that'll be the end of it. Aren't you glad? So let's just have a look. Okay, so the first thing I did after all this happened, the drone was smashed. The camera had flown off. It literally, pieces flew off in all sorts of different directions. So it all got parcelled up. I phoned my dealer up, and I have to say at this point, my dealer has been absolutely spot on. I've got no criticism whatsoever about the dealer and the way that he handled it. In fact, another dealer also got brought into this, because a lot of people may not know this, but there are actually tier 1 and tier 2 dealers within that work with DJI, and it's just basically that some get slightly bigger discounts, but they also have more to do with the service and generally get more of the headaches and everything, which is why I think that they maybe probably get just a slightly higher percentage of the purchase price. But anyway, nevertheless, it's just basically two sorts of dealers. Both were involved. One slightly more involved than the other. So I had two dealers on my side with this, and it got sent off to DJI. Now, as we've said before, DJI 8 weeks is not uncommon. Okay, so 8 weeks later, I'm starting to think I should be hearing something by now, but no. So then it gets to 9 weeks, and I'm still hearing nothing. And then it's approaching 10 weeks, so then I start to make noise. And I approached my dealer, and he said, right, he'll chase it up, and we'll see what's going on. We approached DJI, and DJI said, oh, yeah, we've got this drone, but we didn't know that it was a warranty repair, and well, we basically haven't got anything, we haven't done anything with it. We've had a look and said, oh yeah, it's broken and this is what's broken, but they haven't done anything with it. So they got told, this was the first time, look, it's a warranty repair, it's smashed up and this is what happened, and they were given descriptions, they've been, and then they said, oh, well, in that case then, we need more detailed information, and we want the flight logs uploaded to our cloud so that we can look at the videos. We showed you them earlier, it's got the date on, and they wanted all that, so all that got sent to them, and then full descriptions. So that all gets sent to them, and then they send back and say, what day did this happen on? And at this point now, I'm in contact with DJI and the two dealers are, and I said, just 1 minute, I've just got the date off the file that I've already sent to you. Yeah, but what date was it? And I'm like, at this point I'm starting to scratch my head. So I sent them an email back that said, right, this is the date. And then I got an email back saying, can you put the date on the form? But I've put the date in the description and it's on the file that you've got. So just to keep them happy, I put the date on the file and sent it back again. These emails, I'm not joking, there must have been 15, 20 emails went on between me, the two dealers, and DJI, and everybody was being carbon copied, and these messages were going backwards and forwards. So the next excuse that DJI came up with was, they actually said, oh, it can't have been, it can't have gone out of control because it was in POI mode, and in POI mode the user still has full control of the drone. And what I'll do is I'll actually show you the two emails, and then one of my dealers interjected. I'm going to cut out the name of the dealer in the email that I'm going to show you, because he's just not at fault, and I just don't want to involve people that aren't at fault. So I'll just show you the two emails to illustrate that part. So you can gather at this point that I was starting to lose my temper. This is we're now hitting the 3 months on the time scale. So I get back to him again, and I said, look, you've got to have the date so many times, you've been sent the information, you've got all the flight logs have been sent to you. I'd also like the details of somebody at head office that I can speak to at DJI China, because I've basically had enough. And I said, and look, you've had all the information, it's been sent to you. Not only that, I took the video file from the flight log that they'd already been sent, and I uploaded that particular section to a YouTube and explained everything and said, look, you can see it's flying the orbit, and it just, of its own accord, it flies off. No, it looks like it's the building, but it doesn't. And so we got this email back, and this last email, that was the final straw, and that's why I've done all this. And believe it or not, we're actually done now, and I'm just going to leave you with that last email. But I am completely done with DJI. If this gets fixed under warranty and sent back to me, I will be selling this drone, because I want nothing more to do with that company at all. They're a bunch of shysters that don't honour the warranties, don't look after the customers, and the level of customer support is absolutely appalling. So no thank you, DJI, not for me. Suffice to say that the section in this email that says see attached file is actually, they sent back the file that I sent to them, which was the YouTube version of the file that I took off the flight log on my tablet that was sent to them right at the beginning. So in other words, they've now used that as the third excuse for not honouring the warranty in the first place. And that's it for me now. I'm absolutely done. But if you've taken the time to watch this, I'd just like to say thank you very much, and if you can spread it to anybody that might take a little bit of interest, please do so. Thanks very much.